February 7th, 2019, 11 a.m. The cameras were ready. The Capitol steps, freezing cold. Reporters huddled together, waiting for what some would later describe as one of the most ambitious political announcements in modern American history. And then she appeared, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 29 years old, less than 2 months into her first term in Congress, flanked by Senator Ed Markey, a veteran lawmaker who'd been in politics longer than she'd been alive. She was holding a 14-page document, a plan, a vision, a revolution, according to supporters. Critics would reportedly call it something else, political suicide. The Green New Deal. According to analysts, it would cost somewhere between $51 trillion and $93 trillion over 10 years. Trillion. With AT, the plan? Remake America. Completely. In a decade. Zero fossil fuels. Universal health care. Jobs for everyone. A complete overhaul of every building in the country. It sounded, according to some observers, like a fantasy, a dream, an impossibility. And in exactly 49 days, the United States Senate would vote on it. The result, as reported by multiple sources, 0 to 57. Not a single senator voted yes. Not one. Even the co-sponsors reportedly refused to support it. But on that freezing February morning, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood on those Capitol steps and announced a plan to change everything. Critics said she was delusional. Supporters said she was visionary. In America? According to reports, America couldn't look away. The announcement that stopped Washington. The press conference began at 11 sharp. AOC stepped to the microphone. No notes. No teleprompter. Just her, the cold, and a plan that would reportedly dominate political conversation for months. This is going to be the Great Society, the moonshot, the civil rights movement of our generation, she declared, according to transcripts. The Green New Deal, she explained, wasn't just about climate change. It was about jobs, healthcare, justice, the future, 10 years to transform America, 10 years to save the planet. The goals, as outlined in the resolution: net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Every building in America retrofitted for energy efficiency. High-speed rail across the country. Universal health care. A federal jobs guarantee. According to the document itself, it called for meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero-emission energy sources. 100%. In 10 years. Reporters scribbled notes. Cameras captured every word. And according to sources, Republicans were already preparing their attack. Because buried in that 14-page document was something that would reportedly haunt AOC for years. The FAQ that disappeared. Along with the resolution, AOC's office released a frequently asked questions document on her website. It was supposed to clarify the plan, explain the details, answer the obvious questions. Instead, according to reports, it created a disaster. One line in particular caught fire. Economic security for all who are unable or unwilling to work. Unwilling to work. The internet, predictably, exploded. She wants to pay people who don't want to work? Critics reportedly asked. Conservative media had a field day. Fox News ran segments. Talk radio hosts read the line on repeat. Memes flooded social media. According to sources, within hours, AOC's team pulled the FAQ from the website. Too late. Screenshots had already spread everywhere. The damage, as some analysts described it, was done. AOC's chief of staff, Saikat Chakraborty, reportedly tried to explain it was a draft, released by mistake, not the final version. But the story was already written. AOC wants to pay people who refuse to work. And that narrative, according to political observers, would stick. The cost that nobody could explain. Reporters had questions. A lot of questions. How much will this cost? AOC's answer, as reported in interviews: it doesn't matter. This is an investment in our future. But it did matter. To voters. To economists. To anyone paying taxes. The American Action Forum, a conservative think tank, ran the numbers. Their estimate, widely reported, $51 to $93 trillion over 10 years. For context, the entire U.S. economy at the time was about $20 trillion per year. Other economists gave different estimates. Some lower, some higher. Nobody really knew. Because according to critics, the plan lacked specifics. No detailed budget. No funding mechanism. No clear roadmap. When pressed on how to pay for it, AOC reportedly suggested several options. Higher taxes on the wealthy. Modern monetary theory. Borrowing. Modern monetary theory, reporters asked. It's an economic concept, she explained, that suggests governments that control their own currency can spend more than they take in without the same constraints as households. To supporters, it made sense. To critics, according to reports, it sounded like magical thinking. The questions kept coming. How do you retrofit every building in America in 10 years? What about people who work in fossil fuel industries? Is this socialism? According to transcripts, AOC's responses were passionate but often light on details. And that, political analysts suggested, was the problem. The Republican gift. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell was reportedly grinning. Democrats had just handed him, according to political observers, the perfect weapon. A radical plan, impossibly expensive, supported by the Democratic Party's rising stars. McConnell's strategy, as later reported, force a vote. Make every Democrat go on record. Use it against them forever. On March 26, 2019, barely 7 weeks after AOC announced the Green New Deal, McConnell scheduled a Senate vote. No hearings, no committee process, no expert testimony, just a straight up or down vote on whether to advance the resolution. Democrats cried foul. This is a sham, they reportedly protested. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer called it a political stunt, according to statements at the time. But McConnell didn't care. He wanted Democrats on record. According to sources, he particularly wanted the 6 Democratic senators running for president in 2020 to have to vote. All 6 had co-sponsored the resolution. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Amy Klobuchar. Now they'd have to vote yes or no. In public, on camera. And McConnell, according to reports, couldn't wait. March 26, 2019. The vote that humiliated everyone. The Senate floor. Tension thick. Cameras rolling. The vote began. And according to official records, something remarkable happened. 0 senators voted yes. 0. Not Bernie Sanders, who'd championed climate action for decades. Not Elizabeth Warren, who'd co-sponsored the resolution. Not even Ed Markey, who'd written it with AOC. All 53 Republicans voted no, as expected. But the Democrats? According to reports, 43 voted present. Present. Not yes. Not no. Present. A protest vote, they explained. They wouldn't participate in McConnell's sham. But 4 Democrats reportedly broke ranks and voted no with Republicans. Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Doug Jones of Alabama. Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. Angus King of Maine. The final tally, as officially recorded, 0 to 57. The Green New Deal had received exactly 0 votes in the United States Senate. Critics described it as a humiliating defeat. Supporters called it a meaningless procedural vote. But the damage, according to political analysts, was real. The morning after, AOC woke up to headlines that reportedly stung. Green New Deal dies 0 to 57. Not a single senator backs AOC's plan. Even Democrats refused to support Green New Deal. Conservative media celebrated. Socialism rejected, they proclaimed, according to reports. Progressive media spun it differently. Republicans scared to debate climate change. But the numbers didn't lie. 0 votes. On Twitter, AOC reportedly went on offense. She called the vote a political stunt and said, according to her posts, that Republicans were trying to avoid a real conversation about climate change. But privately, according to sources close to her, she was frustrated. Not at Republicans. She expected them to oppose it. At Democrats, the ones who'd co-sponsored it, championed it, and then refused to vote for it. According to reports, she felt abandoned. The Democrats who ran away. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, was asked about the Green New Deal. Her response, as reported, the Green Dream, or whatever they call it. Nobody knows what it is, but they're for it, right? The Green Dream. Not the Green New Deal. The Green Dream. Translation, according to political observers, I'm not touching this. Other Democratic leaders reportedly kept their distance. Steny Hoyer, the House Majority Leader, I don't support the resolution as drafted. Moderate Democrats in swing districts? According to reports, they actively campaigned against it. I don't support the Green New Deal became a common refrain in 2020 Democratic primary races. Even Joe Biden, who would become president, reportedly said he had his own climate plan and didn't need AOC's version. The Democratic establishment, according to sources, wanted nothing to do with it. They saw it, political analysts suggested, as a political albatross. Too expensive, too radical, too easy for Republicans to attack. And they were probably right. But that didn't make it hurt less for AOC. The Trump pile-on. President Trump, predictably, couldn't resist. At a rally in March 2019, he reportedly mocked the Green New Deal. They want to take away your car. They want to take away your plane. They want to take away your hamburgers, he said, according to transcripts. The crowd booed, laughed, chanted USA, USA. Trump continued, no more cows, no more airplanes, no more you. According to reports, he specifically told Republican senators at a lunch meeting, don't kill the Green New Deal. I want to run against it in 2020. And he did, over and over. Campaign ad after campaign ad. Democrats want socialism. The Green New Deal proves it. According to political strategists, it was effective messaging. Because most Americans, polls suggested, didn't know what the Green New Deal actually was. But they knew it sounded expensive, and radical, and scary. The economist who called it impossible, Robert Murphy, an economist, ran detailed calculations on the Green New Deal. His conclusion, as published, mathematically impossible. Even if you taxed every billionaire at 100%, he explained, you couldn't pay for it. Even if you doubled income taxes on everyone, still not enough. The numbers, according to his analysis, simply didn't work. Other economists disagreed. Some argued the costs were overstated. Others said the economic benefits would offset expenses. But the damage to public perception, according to polls, was done. People heard $1 trillion and impossible and made up their minds. The activist who defended it, Sunrise Movement, a youth climate organization, rallied behind AOC. Varshini Prakash, their co-founder, reportedly said, the Green New Deal isn't about the details. It's about the vision, the ambition, the refusal to accept a dying planet. Protests were organized, rallies held. Young activists flooded congressional offices. According to reports, they saw AOC as a hero. The only politician brave enough to match the scale of the crisis with the scale of the solution. But to critics, as they reportedly argued, that was exactly the problem. Vision without details. Ambition without funding. Solutions without plans. Pretty words, they suggested, but no substance. The Republican who made it a meme. Sean Duffy, Republican congressman from Wisconsin, reportedly couldn't resist. March 27, 2019. The day after the Senate vote, House Financial Services Committee meeting, Duffy introduced an amendment, according to transcripts, requiring a homelessness bill to meet Green New Deal standards. If you're a rich liberal from New York or California, he reportedly said, the Green New Deal sounds great. You can afford to retrofit your home. But what about working families? AOC was sitting right there, listening, according to observers, getting angrier by the second. When her turn came to respond, according to reports, she didn't hold back. You want to tell people that their concern and their desire for clean air and clean water is elitist? She reportedly said, voice rising. Tell that to the kids in the South Bronx, which are suffering from the highest rates of childhood asthma in the country. Tell that to the families in Flint. According to sources, her voice was shaking. Not from fear, from rage. The clip went viral. Millions of views. Both sides claimed victory. Conservatives, she's too emotional. Progressives, she's passionate. According to political observers, it was pure AOC. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unforgettable. The coal miner who lost hope. Michael Davis worked in a West Virginia coal mine for 23 years. When he heard about the Green New Deal, according to interviews, his first reaction was fear. They want to eliminate my job, he reportedly told local news. What am I supposed to do? Learn to code. The Green New Deal promised a just transition for workers in fossil fuel industries. Retraining, new jobs, support. But Michael, according to sources, didn't believe it. Politicians always promise things, he reportedly said. They never deliver. Joe Manchin, his senator, voted against the Green New Deal. Michael agreed with that vote. But according to reports, he also wondered, what happens when the coal runs out anyway? The Green New Deal might have been too radical, too fast, too expensive. But the question it raised, sources suggested, was real. What do we do when the old jobs disappear? Nobody, according to Michael, had a good answer. The sister who stopped speaking, Emma Rodriguez, was a climate activist in Boston, 24 years old, passionate, dedicated. Her older sister, Maria, worked in finance, conservative, practical. When AOC announced the Green New Deal, Emma reportedly called it the most important policy proposal of our generation. Maria called it economic suicide. The arguments started small, dinner table debates, friendly disagreements. But according to sources, they escalated. "You don't care about the planet," Emma reportedly yelled during one fight. "You don't care about people's jobs," Maria shot back. By April 2019, they weren't speaking. The Green New Deal had reportedly split their family down the middle. Emma saw it as salvation. Maria saw it as destruction. And neither, according to reports, could understand the other's position. They reconciled eventually. But the damage, sources suggested, took months to heal. Because the Green New Deal wasn't just policy. It was personal. The scientist who ran the numbers. Dr. James Hansen, climate scientist, former NASA researcher, one of the first to warn about global warming. His take on the Green New Deal, as reported in interviews, well-intentioned but scientifically flawed. The timeline was too aggressive, he explained. 10 years to zero emissions? Technologically impossible. The focus on renewables alone ignored nuclear power, which he argued was essential. And the social programs attached to it, he suggested, distracted from the climate mission. According to sources, even climate scientists were divided. Some said the ambition was necessary. "We need to shoot for the moon," they reportedly argued. Others said it was counterproductive. "Impossible goals lead to public cynicism," they countered. The debate, according to observers, showed that even people who agreed climate change was an emergency couldn't agree on solutions. The moment that defined the fight. April 2019. Town hall in Queens. AOC facing her constituents. A middle-aged man stood up. Working class. Tired. "Congresswoman," he reportedly said, "I drive a truck for a living. The Green New Deal wants to get rid of trucks like mine. What am I supposed to do?" The room went silent. AOC took a breath. "The Green New Deal isn't about taking away your job," she reportedly responded. "It's about creating new ones. Better ones. That don't poison the air your kids breathe." "But who pays for my retraining?" he asked. "Who pays my bills while I learn a new career?" According to sources, AOC didn't have a perfect answer. "That's what we're working on," she reportedly said. "That's why we need the conversation." The man sat down, not satisfied, but not hostile either. According to observers, that exchange captured the entire problem. Good intentions, real concerns, no clear path forward. The media that couldn't look away. Cable news covered the Green New Deal nonstop for weeks. Fox News, 52 segments in March alone, according to media tracking. MSNBC, 47 segments. CNN, 39 segments. Every angle, every controversy, every new development. According to reports, it was catnip for television. Visual, controversial, endless content. AOC became, sources suggested, the most talked about politician in America not named Trump. She was on magazine covers, late-night shows, podcast after podcast. The Green New Deal made her, according to political observers, a household name. But it also, critics suggested, made her a target. Every mistake magnified, every word scrutinized, every move analyzed. The price of fame, sources indicated, was constant pressure. The Republican who secretly agreed. Congressman Matt Gaetz, Florida Republican, publicly mocked the Green New Deal. But according to sources, he privately told colleagues, "She's right that we need to do something about climate." He didn't support her plan. Too expensive, too government-heavy. But the urgency? According to reports, he got it. Other Republicans reportedly felt the same way, especially younger ones. They couldn't say it publicly. The party line was Green New Deal bad. But privately, sources suggested, some acknowledged, climate change is real. We need answers. The Green New Deal, political observers noted, moved the conversation even among Republicans. Not toward socialism, but toward accepting the problem exists. That shift, according to analysts, mattered. The Bernie factor. Bernie Sanders co-sponsored the Green New Deal. But according to reports, his version was different from AOC's. More detailed, more focused on Medicare for all, less ambitious on timeline. At rallies in 2020, he'd mention the Green New Deal. Crowds would cheer, but when pressed on specifics, according to transcripts, he'd pivot to other topics. Because even Bernie, sources suggested, knew it was politically risky. The Democratic primary in 2020 showed the divide. Progressive candidates embraced it. Moderates ran from it. Joe Biden won the nomination. His platform? According to reports, not the Green New Deal, but his climate plan borrowed heavily from it. Just rebranded. Less scary name. According to political observers, that's how politics works. Radicals propose. Moderates adapt. Progress happens slowly. The 5-year reckoning. 2024, 5 years after the 0 to 57 vote. The Inflation Reduction Act passed. Biggest climate bill in American history. Billions for clean energy, green jobs, environmental justice. Not the Green New Deal, but according to sources inspired by it. AOC voted for it, then criticized it for not going far enough. It's a good start, she reportedly said, but we need to do more. Her critics, she's never satisfied. Her supporters, that's why we need her. According to political observers, that's the AOC brand. Push further, dream bigger, never settle. The Green New Deal failed, but the movement won. The irony nobody saw coming. Here's what happened after the 0 to 57 vote. The Green New Deal died, according to headlines. But the conversation? According to political observers, it lived. Suddenly, every Democratic presidential candidate in 2020 had a climate plan. Carbon neutral by 2050. Green jobs. Climate justice. The language changed. The framing shifted. But the Green New Deal, in spirit, reportedly won. By 2024, according to sources, major provisions from the Inflation Reduction Act, the biggest climate bill in U.S. history, echoed Green New Deal priorities. Clean energy investment, green jobs, environmental justice. AOC didn't get her plan passed, but she moved the conversation, political analysts suggested. The Overton window shifted. What seemed radical in 2019 became mainstream by 2024. According to reports, she lost the battle but won the war. The final truth. February 7, 2019, AOC announced the Green New Deal. March 26, 2019, it lost 0 to 57 in the Senate. According to critics, it was dead on arrival. Too expensive, too radical, too impossible. According to supporters, it was never about passing immediately. It was about changing the conversation. And by that measure, sources suggested it worked. 5 years later, every Democrat talks about climate change. Green jobs, clean energy. The Green New Deal, as a specific bill, reportedly failed. But the Green New Deal, as a movement, arguably won. AOC took the biggest political risk of her young career. Announced a plan so ambitious that even her own party ran away from it. She got 0 Senate votes. Endless mockery, brutal headlines. But she also, according to political observers, changed American politics. Because now the question isn't, should we do something about climate change? It's how big should we go? And that shift, sources suggested, is the real legacy of the Green New Deal. Not the $51 trillion price tag. Not the FAQ about people unwilling to work. Not the 0 to 57 Senate vote. But the conversation it started. The movement it launched. The future it envisioned. According to reports, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood on those Capitol steps in February 2019 and proposed something impossible. And even though it failed, sources indicated it changed everything. 0 votes in the Senate. But according to political observers, infinite impact on American climate policy. That's the story nobody expected. The radical plan that died, but refused to stay dead. The Green New Deal.